Ken Corl, I'm delighted to have the opportunity to introduce the Broadcasting Amendment Bill 2014. Earlier this year, the scandal known as Pantigate erupted. It was kicked off by comments made by Rory O'Neill on the Saturday Night Show, and it was escalated by the response of those branded homophobes who consequently threatened RTE with litigation. Now, as we know, RTE capitulated and paid over €85,000 to 6 individuals. Now, maybe RTE should or should not have paid out, but what is clear is that they did so because of a serious flaw in the existing legislation. Here's what RTE's managing director said in a letter to staff, and I quote, "Having regard for broadcasting compliance issues, the seriousness of the legal complaints, and the decision by the complainants not to accept RTE's proposed remedies, we decided that a settlement was the most prudent course of action. Senior counsel was consulted and confirmed that the legal position was far from clear." So this bill, Taoiseach, aims to clarify one piece of the puzzle at the heart of the episode that we dealt with, and that is the removal of the term offence from Section 39 of the Broadcasting Act. As legislators, I think we all agree that we have a duty to show the LGBT community and society at large that free speech is something that we in the Oireachtas respect and that we value, and something that we can and we will protect. Now, the existing Act requires broadcasters to not broadcast, and I quote, "anything which may reasonably be regarded as causing harm or offence." This bill removes the phrasing "or offence." I don't believe people should be censored for saying offensive things, whether or not that offence is reasonably taken or not. Now, determining what might be considered offensive by anyone in our society is a pretty hefty obligation to put on our broadcasters, and especially difficult, obviously, when it comes to live broadcasting. I'm sure every member of this House is all too familiar with the fact that regardless of what the topic is or what people say, there's always somebody out there who's going to take offence. Legislation, I believe, that mollycoddles those who take offence, regardless of what they're offered, does three things. I think it gags free speech, I think it harms public debate, and critically, I think it makes uncomfortable truths invisible truths. The Act as it currently stands in the recent scandal will undoubtedly cause broadcasters to err on the side of caution. Without doubt, they've already started doing it since RTE paid out. And as a result, if we don't make a change very quickly, free speech will begin to suffer. I believe it probably already has started to suffer, and we will let litigious bullies shut down conversations that they don't like. Taoiseach, what this bill proposes is to remove the reference to offence. So Section 39(1)(d) would now read as follows. "Every broadcaster shall ensure that anything which may reasonably be regarded as causing harm or being likely to promote or incite to crime, or is tending to undermine the authority of the state, is not broadcast by the broadcaster." Now, we've heard in the press that Minister Rabbitte is thinking about changing the phrase harm or offence to harm or reasonable offence. I believe, and many others believe, that any qualification of the term offence still hamstrings our broadcasters and stifles free speech in this country. It's also potentially troublesome, Taoiseach, in relation to European law. Article 12 of the European Charter of Fundamental Rights makes no reference to offence. Article 10 of the European Convention on Human Rights, which deals with freedom of expression, also makes no reference to offence. And it's interesting that RTE's own statement on respecting diversity is at odds with any reference to the word offence in the legislation. RTE's statement says the following, and I quote, "As Ireland evolves into a more multicultural and ethnically diverse nation, it is important that RTE reflects these changes, but equally, programme makers must be sensitive to areas of public opinion that are absent from public discourse because of the reticence of some people to express their views." So, Taoiseach, it seems to me that the current legislation asks RTE not to broadcast anything that might cause offence, but at the same time to represent minority views, which we don't often hear, and which may, for whatever reason, cause some people offence. Now, I look forward to seeing what Minister Rabbitte brings forward, and I hope to be able to support his proposals. However, as we all know, the legislative process takes time. Taoiseach, were your government to introduce this bill, which just removes 2 words from the Broadcasting Act, maybe even as a stopgap to what Minister Rabbitte is going to do, it would immediately fix one of the biggest flaws in the legislation, and it would send out a message to minority groups, to those who would like to suppress those minority groups, and to everyone in the country that Dáil Éireann and Ireland values free speech. So Taoiseach, I hope that you and your government will take a look at it. It's a very small change that could lead to a fundamental change in sending a signal to our broadcasters that they don't have to hide from litigious bullies. Thank you.
Is the bill being opposed?
Not being opposed, Cancrola. I think Minister Robert is looking at this, Deputy Donnelly.
I declare the motion for leave to introduce agreed. Since this is a private member's bill, again, I would ask the Deputy to move that be taken.
I move the bill, Cancrola.
Is that agreed?